When people use a word such as aura, what's the first thing you think of? Now, for Richmond fans and AFL fans, especially over the last 7 days, it's without a doubt Dustin Martin. And for Richmond to be sitting second last on the ladder and to draw 92,000 people to the MCG, and yes, Hawthorn fans, we know you were there as well, but to draw 92,000 fans to the MCG to see one man play his 300th game is a statement like no other. For him to come out in the 4th minute of that game and kick the opening goal from outside 50 in classic Dustin Martin style, and for the crowd to just lift up off their feet as soon as the ball touched his hands. As soon as Hugo Ralphsmith handballed it and it hit Dustin Martin's hands, the crowd went up and went ballistic because they just knew. They just knew, and the commentary said it over multiple different stations and TV shows. It just said, who is writing this script? And it's almost going to be the footy gods. Now, I know the match didn't go our way or Dusty's way, and you could say the footy gods had a hand in that, but for that opening of the game, for the crowd that was there, it made me proud as a Richmond fan to be at that game and see the crowd that turned up to honour a champion and honour the man that Dustin Martin is and the things that he's done for this club. Because I was worried. I won't lie. I was worried. I thought we might only get, I thought at the worst we'd get 65, 70, and then I thought at the best maybe 80, So to hit 92,000, which, you rarely hit 90 plus in a home and away season, and it's the 8th highest crowd home and away of all time. It's the highest attended Richmond Hawthorn game. And if you think back to 2018, coming off a flag, we played them in the final. So massive. And, that was probably the moment of the game. And then for Dustin Martin to front up after the game, speak to Jack Rewell, give his speech, which, brought tears to the eyes of Richmond fans, I think. It's safe to say. There were moments there where, he was walking around, he was waving to the crowd, he was tugging on the jumper, he was doing these ones, and you just thought, boy, he loves his place. He's not leaving, is he? And all the speculation, obviously, over the last multiple years now that he's going to leave, and especially in recent times, is he going to the Gold Coast? I think that's solidified for me that Dustin Martin is a Richmond man and a Richmond man for life. And not that I needed that moment, but I think it just helped. And I think it all made us realise just how much he loves his club just as much as we love him. And it was a true moment between Dusty and the fans, I think. And I absolutely loved it. The one thing that did make me slightly nervous was when Jack Reward asked him what his plans were for the future. He said, "Are you going to be ready for Freo in 2 weeks, even though we have Carlton in 2 weeks?" And Dusty said, "We'll freshen up after the bye and see how we go." Now, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but the fact that he said, "We'll see how we go," and not absolutely see you there, makes me skeptical that he might be hanging them up. And that's why I looked at my sister at the time and who I was sitting with, and I said, you know what? I said, let's soak in every second that we're looking at Dustin Martin out on the MCG, because I hope that it's not, but it may well be the last time we see Dustin Martin, not only on the MCG, but ever again. Because let's be honest, once he retires, we won't see him. He's not going to be in media. He's not going to bob up for events. You'll see him for maybe a Richmond Hall of Fame event or an AFL Hall of Fame event in 10 years from now, but you won't see him just out and about doing casual media and things like that, because it's not Dusty. And I almost don't want to see him after he retires in a weird way, just because it would ruin that, again, using the word, it would ruin that aura about him, because he is that mysterious man that just comes out, dominates, goes home, and that's it. You don't hear from him, you don't see him. And I almost like that about him. I think that mystique that he's created is something quite special. And it honestly would seem odd if he did retire and he did become quite prominent in the media and things like that. So, again, I hope this wasn't his last game. I'd love for him to see out the year, even play on another one if that's what he wanted to do. But I really did get that sick feeling that could have been his last game. And I hope it wasn't, because we'll talk about the game in just a second, but it really wasn't the game that I want to see Dustin Martin leave on, because it wasn't the result. It wasn't the performance that I wanted our team to put up. Not only, the result's important, obviously, but it's the way you go about the game as well. And that was also a letdown for me. But in regards to the fans and the moment of the game, which was that opening goal and then the speech at the end, I just thought it was absolutely unbelievable. And I know there was the argument that he should have played his 300th game in Adelaide, and we ended up winning that game, so that would have been something special. But to have 92,000 at the MCG, Dustin Martin, his fans, his loyal supporters, all there to cheer him and wave and go nuts when he had that big moment, I think was just, undeniable. Obviously, like I said, you want to win every game you play, but I don't know, something about the way that game panned out. I didn't really think too much about the game itself. I could just reflect on Dustin Martin and the career that he's had, and hopefully we see a lot more of him. But that's about 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes of talking about Dusty in that game. But we should dive into the game itself because, like I said, I was quite disappointed. And I've got some notes that I've written here, but I should say these are all from my cousin Liam, who we had dinner after the game, and he went to town. And I actually agree with all of these points. So plagiarizing a little bit, I told him I'm going to be doing that, but I actually do agree with all of these as well. So I'll touch on them. And the first thing that we did speak about was finding, and maybe we don't have to find another one because I think we've got them, but we needed another clearance midfielder to help Tim Taranto. So obviously we've got Hopper and Prestia that both didn't play on the weekend, and those guys do have the ability to win clearances, right? We know that. Taranto had 8 clearances on the night. Thompson Dow was our next best with only 3. And Taranto was also the only midfielder with over 20 disposals. He had 33, as we know. Thompson Dow, again, was the next best with only 18. So it's no surprise when you're winning that little of the football that you're going to struggle to win games of football. And, I'm not shitting on Dow because I think Dow's been quite good as well. But just as a team, we're not getting our hands on the football enough. And for Taranto to be the only player with plus 20 disposals, it's not going to help. And it's really going to help us struggle, if anything, and go the opposite way to where we want to go. So that was the first talking point. Second one was the forward line. And obviously we're all absolutely stoked to have Tom Lynch back in the team. And me being one of his biggest advocates was over the moon. I thought, this could be dangerous. But I think every time it went inside 50, and this was actually one that I didn't write down, but it's just coming to my head now. Every time it went inside 50, it was either Scrimshaw or Sicily manhandling Lynch. Now, I'm not saying that it was untoward or it was against the rules and it should have been free kicks. That's not what I'm saying, but they were manhandling Lynch, keeping him at ground level, while the other one, whether it was Scrimshaw or Sicily, would fly across the pack, uncontested mark, intercepting. And it was with ease, way too often. Way too often. I think it was happening. Lynch wasn't getting a chance to run and jump at it, and it's also maybe a little bit of confidence in the body that he might not have just yet. Obviously, first game back since round 3, no doubt you're going to be a bit nervous, especially with his injury issues. So that probably played a little part in it as well. But I just think we did not do anything to help him and stop that third man up from jumping. We could have put a body on him. We could have done something. And I think it's times like this that, going back to personnel, but we're really missing McKelty. And he's been one of my favourite players all year, McKelty Lafau. But we really missed McKelty. Is another big figure who can come in, he can crush packs, he can make a decent contest. And I just feel having him in there wouldn't have allowed one of those other 2 defenders to just sit free and take intercept marks because they would have been manning him. Now, obviously, we had Cozzy in the side as well. But again, maybe not on the ground at the same time, probably not as dangerous either, or definitely not as dangerous as what Tom is. So probably wasn't considered as much of a threat. Now, you got the 3 of them out there, you have to do something. You can't just focus on Tom Lynch if you got the 3 of them out there. And McKelty's been great. He's been a good kick at goal. He's been solid. He crushes packs. We know what we're going to get. And Lynch isn't going to crush packs like he used to, especially with the way his body's holding up. So I think we definitely missed him. But I'm not blaming, anything on McKelty not being there. I still think with the personnel we had out there, we should have found a way to combat that and stop that third man up from jumping because it cost us. It really did. But again, touching on the forward line, no identifiable lead patterns. And this has been a problem that I've noticed with Richmond for a fair while now. Nobody blocks for each other so they can have a clean lead at the football. I feel like it's just top of the square. Everyone huddles up, defenders, forwards, midfielders, everyone just crowds in, pop it up here, pop it on the head, and we bomb it long. And I think that's our whole game plan at the moment, from what I've noticed, is just kick it long to contests and hope someone can take a mark. And whether it's Nank or Lynch pushes up the ground, but if Lynch pushes up, then you turn around, there's no one down there to take the mark in the forward line. I feel like it's a problem because, like I said, we just kick a bomb to the top of the square and we're just hoping for a big pack mark or a crumbing goal at ground level, which it happens, a few times throughout a game, but it's not a sustainable way to score and to kick goals. And you saw that I think the 2 times that we had a lead at the midfielder was Cozzy. Both times he led at the ball and took 2 good marks. He went back, kicked one, missed the other, but it's opportunities at goal. And I think when key forwards are leading at the ball, that's when they're at their best. Now, yes, we want to see them take pack marks, contested grabs. They're great, but we also want to see a strong lead out in front, taking the grab. And, while that is slightly a forward issue, it's also a poor midfield use as well. And obviously we're not racking up enough numbers. So there's a lot to dive into there, but that is something that I feel like we have had an issue with. And that's honestly just that long bomb down the line, hoping for the best. And then the last one, again, it's probably back to personnel, which I don't want to touch on too much because you don't want to use it as an excuse as much as it doesn't help. But the lack of speed with Maurice Sorelli Jr., I think, is absolutely killing us. And since he's been gone, I've noticed teams are just walking out of our forward 50 way too easily. Backmen get the football and it feels like they can just get it up the other end in 5 seconds. Whereas when we get the ball and we turn it over and we're looking to go the other way, it just feels so slow. And it's like slow and methodical, but there's no method behind it and it's just bombing it down the line. Whereas when Hawthorn had the footy and they turned it over, it was quick transition. They were off and we struggled to keep up with them. And that's where they scored a lot of their goals from what I was looking at. So I think, honestly, that's something we really need to work on, and it's quicker ball movement, but also more pressure with inside 50 because we shouldn't be allowing teams to walk out of the ground, out of our forward 50, so easily. Now, if we're going to play a slower style of football, that's fine, but we have to slow the opposition down as well. We can't play slow and allow them to play fast. It just won't work. So, again, I know it's hard because you can't find a game plan or implement a proper game plan when you've had the inconsistencies in the side that we have. So I'm obviously, I know it's not as simple as just fix the game plan or do this or do that. I know there's so many more intricacies to it, but this is just the things that I'm noticing. And when we played against Sydney, I feel like a lot of the things that I've touched on, we did the opposite of, and, we went and beat the best side in the competition. Now, I know they weren't at their best at that stage, but we still, you could only beat who's there, and we played them when we beat them. We beat Adelaide, we did things a little bit better, but then we dipped off again this week against Hawthorn. So that's pretty much it for the review. Obviously, we've got a bye coming up this week, so I'll probably be taking a bit of time off just over the week, just to recoup. Got a lot going on, as we all do. So I'll probably take a bit of time off. Wednesday nights will still be the Forever Rivals show. So jump on there, 7:30 p.m. It's live streamed. Otherwise, watch it whenever you get a chance. We'll be on there. I'll be talking about Dusty's 300th, reviewing the game like I have today as well. Not much to preview, obviously, as we're not playing this weekend. It'll be a nice little refresher for not only the players, but the fans as well. It's been a bumpy ride this season. I think we've deserved it just as much as the players have, in a way, in a weird way. But again, that's pretty much all I've got. So thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you were all there at the MCG, and if you weren't, you were able to watch and appreciate the legend that Dustin Martin is and support him the way that he deserves to be supported. And hopefully that wasn't the last we see of him. It would hurt if it was, but if it is, then it is. And we can never ask any more out of that man because he's brought us absolutely everything. So thank you, Dustin. Thank you to all those watching, and go Tigers.